So we're going to start our video on positioning for breath re-education and muscular relaxation. You'll see behind me here that I've set up some of the items that I'll be using, and I'm going to do it on a carpeted floor. If you have a hard floor, you can put a quilt on the hard floor, fold it a couple times. If it's hard for you to get down onto the floor, you can certainly do it on a bed. You'll see I have something to rest my legs on at one end, and I've got something to rest my head on at the other end. I'll go over what to choose for both of those purposes as I zip over there and settle into the position myself. You'll also see I have some pillows on either side of my torso, and there is a towel there for the hollow of my low back. So let's get this set up. So this towel here has been adjusted prior to me starting the camera. I folded a towel so that the dimension from top to bottom and from floor to ceiling seems to match my back's curve that it prefers to have. So it's a trial and error thing. I've also experimented and found that if I use nothing under my legs, the hollow of my low back becomes more pronounced, which is because of the tension on the front muscles at the front of my hips. If I use something taller than this chair, then my back gets pushed back into the floor because, again, the muscles around my hips pull my pelvis in a way that causes my back to be depressed into the floor. This height and this distance from my pelvis seems to allow my back to be resting in a degree of curvature that is most comfortable for my joints. So simple as that. Other people may use a laundry basket without any pillows on it, and some people use a laundry basket with pillows on it, that kind of thing. Depends on the length of your thighs and some of the characteristics of your hip and your low back. If I take these pillows away from my head, in order for my head to touch the ground, my head has to get rolled over backward, and so that's not comfy. So I'm going to put some material behind my head so that my face is parallel to the ceiling, or maybe nodded ahead a little bit, and I pull the top pillow closest to my head there in the hollow of my neck. Some people will find that the front of their shoulders will just feel like there's tension in there or some irritation if they rest their arms on the ground like that. And that's the reason that happens, is because the shoulder blades have lost their ability to slide to the center of the upper back. And so you can compensate by putting some material underneath your arms as your arms are by your side. So here I am. I've got everything relaxed and some time set aside, and positioning's all set. So let's talk about breath re-education. It can occur very often in lots of parts of the world, including this one, that we are thinking about what we've done in the past and what has to be done in the future, what's not getting done to our satisfaction, these kinds of thoughts. And they're equivalent, well, not entirely equivalent, but they're similar to the kind of things that happen in a primitive sense when an animal is getting threatened by a predator. And so when you're getting threatened by a predator, your whole body's ready to go. Muscles get tight, heart starts to go up. You start to breathe with everything you can muster, which would include neck muscles and upper chest muscles in addition to the diaphragm. So in our current circumstance right now, we don't have to worry about anything eating us or us eating anything else. And we can focus on relaxing, and we're going to try to educate our bodies to behave in a way that is a reflection of what is capable most of the time. So we're going to change our breathing so that it reflects the breathing pattern that should be what our normal or most common breathing pattern is. And that unfortunately can be lost quite often. Our breathing pattern can assume a fight or flight type of pattern rather than a diaphragmatic based one. So let's go on to the diaphragm. Hands are open on my stomach, just below my ribs, and I'm simply going to pay attention to my hands rising up when I breathe in and my hands falling toward the ground when I breathe out. I'm going to suggest that you put a timer on for perhaps 2, maybe 5 minutes, or however long it seems to take you, if you have the time, to have the diaphragm or have the stomach rise and fall in a rhythmic, smooth way that is unhurried and isn't accompanied by a sense of contraction or tension in the neck and upper back. A small duration of time working on this is certainly a lot better than not doing it at all if you're rushed. And putting on a timer allows you to keep track of how much time you're putting into this if you have a day that's kind of a little bit busy. So you don't have to worry about how much time you're doing or not doing. You know when the buzzer goes, you've done a particular amount of time. I don't recommend very often that people focus on breathing deeply. It appears that if their focus is on their hands rising and falling, that the breath depth and the breath rate per minute will find what's best for the person. And that's less labor intensive. It's less likely to cause upper back and neck muscles to participate in the breath activity. So now we're going to combine breathing with increased awareness of the degree of muscle relaxation. We're going to divide our body up into segments, and we're going to pay attention to each segment one at a time as we breathe. So pay attention to the weight of your head on the pillow. I'm going to make an adjustment. The edge of that chair was digging into the back of my hamstring a little bit, and that is not acceptable. And I'd recommend the same for you. If there's a little bit of something that's not relaxing, make an adjustment and then carry on. Okay, so feel the back of your head and the weight of your head on the pillow. Your diaphragm's rising and falling. When your diaphragm falls and you're relaxing, the breath is leaving you. See if you can feel the weight of your head be heavier on the supporting surface. Generally, just an increased awareness of how heavy the head is on the supporting surface lends itself to the head feeling heavier. And if the head feels heavier while you're breathing out, it's generally because some of the tension in the muscles of your neck has gone down, and your head can fall to the supporting surface more freely. How many breaths out should you do this? At least 10, and pay attention to how different the weight of your head feels with every breath out. If more of your head weight feels like it's being placed on the pillow with every breath, keep going. If 3 breaths go by and there's really not a big change in the weight of your head on the pillow, move on to a new body part. So let's move on to the weight of my arms on the pillows, or in your case the floor if you're just using a floor. With every breath out, focus on, say, relaxing the chest. Feel the chest relax. And see if the weight of your arms feels more pronounced when you breathe out. And if it is, well done. You've caused some of those muscles to be more quiet than they were. That's awesome. Maybe you've got some tension in your hands. So feel the distribution of your hands on your belly, or if you've chosen to put them by your sides on the floor. Relax your hands. Picture your hands floppy. Picture your hands with the fingers apart, but not pulled apart. Picture your hands with a little curve in their fingers. And feel if the weight of your hands become heavier with every breath out. And if they do, well done. And if 3 breaths go by and it doesn't feel a whole lot different, let's move on to a new spot. Let's now move on to the area on our back, below our ribs and above our belt line. The area that's being supported by the towel underneath us. With every breath out, focus on relaxing and feeling the weight of that body part against the towel a little more. Try relaxing the front of your thighs, or your thighs as a whole, with every breath out. If that causes that area to become heavier on the towel, well then I guess some of the muscles in your thighs and the front and back were interfering with your back being able to relax into a position that's